Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to our first workshop in the series where we are presenting our paper that's called Food Systems, a Story of Transformation. So a few weeks ago, we actually sat together and discussed what could be the challenges and how the current food systems is broken and what all we could do to make it more resilient and something that is more regenerative in nature, that is helping the environment and also sort of helping the food systems be more good for everybody that's involved, all the stakeholders. So we're so happy to have you all, and it's really nice that you're so. I mean, I see everybody is all smiles, so that makes me more energetic and excited about the event. So I'll just start off with telling a little bit about our food hub. So we started about 6 months ago. In starting this year, we thought let's just put on some creator shoes and make it more creative and collaborative and bring more practical ideas and approaches and innovations. Look and understand the whole food systems through the complexities and then look at it through the lens of systemic thinking and bring about systems innovation and maybe help and co-create and collaborate with a lot of different stakeholders, maybe through research or academics, and then bring out certain form of practical solution that we can help grow our food systems into a better and more resilient one. So this is me. I am Asra. I'm joining from Germany, and we have Jill and Adrian, who are also part of the core hub here, and they're joining from Paris and Switzerland. We also have Joss and Yasmin joining from our Universal SI network. So we're all planning to have more engagement sessions with all of you, bring out more learning material and connect with different stakeholders, possibly create and co-create on our different topics that we have chosen. So hang in there. So this is a small brainstorming session that we have here. I know it's also lunchtime. I'm guessing you're all quite hungry. So here are quite stickies, and then let's see, there are like few food items that are present here on the screen. Maybe I can just take a sticky and say, oh, this is what I really love the most, and this is what I really dislike. So maybe you guys can take some time and then maybe 2 minutes and just pick your favorite and the food that you really do not like. Do we have the Miro link shared with all the members here? Okay.
Yeah, we have it on the chat.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just excited to know what all food you like and what you dislike. Perfect. So I see we all really like healthy options and we hate the ones that we think are processed and requires a lot of materials being brought together from different parts of the world. So we're all on the same page. Amazing to know. Just another small brainstorming session here as well. Please do let us know where you're joining from. And then maybe you can just zoom into the place that you are and pick up a sticky from here and say, what is the food that you really associate with the country that you belong to? I would say I'm actually from Germany, and I think I see a lot of potatoes around here, and there is a lot sour bread that is sold. So please go ahead. Oh, that's okay. Somebody has moved. That should be good. Cool. That's exciting to see. There are a lot of different food items that I've never I might have tasted or I might not have, but looking forward to taste sometime soon. So quickly, a little review about what we would do in the workshop today. We introduced ourselves. Jill here would present the position paper that we have shared with you, and I'm sure Yasmin will share a link to it on the chat. We will break down into smaller groups and we'll discuss. We'll deep dive into different aspects within the paper and then see what we can actually bring more to the paper and see. So this workshop actually helps us understand different perspectives within the food systems. We're sure to bring out a lot more ideas that we might have missed because we just have a little bit of experience with what our perspective is. And then we're hoping to co-create different ideas together on this workshop here when we break out into the rooms. This is also a little exercise for us as a hub to get to know you all as our members and then see what we can do next to engage with you, how you would like to get involved. And we would also like to take your feedback and see where we are and how we could improve and how we could collaborate and co-create together. A little bit here is a structure of the workshop. The first 10 minutes would be taken by Jill. She'll present us the paper, and then the major part of the workshop would be 50 minutes. We will all break down into the rooms, and we will see how we can actually bring out more ideas. We can see how you would like to contribute and what are other ideas that you would like to include in our paper. And then the next 10 minutes would be us coming back into the main room and then talking about what we have discussed, then picking up the best ideas and seeing how we can actually take it forward, maybe get out a practical solution and see if that can actually work with our current broken food systems. And the last 15 minutes, we are actually devoting to sort of help vote for better idea and then how we can actually take better steps of action for co-creation, collaboration, and then engagement with you guys. And we're also, the last 5 minutes, we are engaging on the feedback. So the key objectives and takeaways for us for the workshop is that we are trying to get it more participation driven. Then we are trying to involve and inculcate a challenge-based thinking. So it makes it more creative and then you are on the edge to maybe contribute. The main objective again for us is that we might have missed a few perspectives. So we are trying to bring in different wholesome perspective on food systems in this workshop, and then we will discuss quite in detail about the current challenges, the transitions that are required to move from a broken food system to a more resilient one, and then see what ideas and innovations can and need to be incorporated at different points within the food value chain so it makes it more regenerative and resilient. So also we will discuss a lot of ideas and then we'll pick the best ones from each of the breakout rooms and then we'll try and incorporate this in our paper in the next time when we release it. So over to you, Jill. Please go ahead and present the paper.
Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Cool. So hi everyone, happy to be here today for this exploration session. So my name is Jill and I will quickly introduce you the work we've done recently. So the development of our position paper, which is named Food Systems, a Story of Transformation. So the main purpose of the paper is to share with you a system thinking perspective on the evolution of our food system and to discuss how we may enable it to evolve to a more productive, sustainable, and inclusive model based upon a system approach. So as we all know, current food systems are not working well regarding a lot of outcomes in terms of nutrition, but also in terms of health, environment. There are also lack of equity and inclusion. So we have never produced or consumed as much food as we currently do, but the way in which our food systems are operating is negatively affecting us and the planet. So that's why we think that there is an urgent need to transform food system for people and planet. So the paper has been created to share with you a system thinking perspective and the evolution of food system. It is crafted as a narrative to illuminate the broader changes taking place in the world today, the challenges we face in our current food system, and the kind of changes we believe need to come about in our food system. So the paper is structured around 4 main sections. So the first one, which provides a broader context driving change in the world of food. The second one, which provides a description of the key challenges faced by our food system today. The third one, which is the transition one, provides an overview of the kind of systemic changes that we believe need to come about. And the last one, which is the ideating one, envisioning, tries to offer some solution to answer the question, which is, what does a future fit food system look like? So we also put the link to the paper here in the section resources on the top right. So please feel free to click on the link and open the paper while I'm describing the different sections. So now it will take a few minutes to dive into the four main sections. So as previously mentioned, the first section describes the broader changes taking place in the world of food. So it's basically try to answer the question, which is what are the major disruptive changes taking place in the world of food that are giving rise to the need for creating a system change today. So we identify different drivers. So the first one, which is the increased demand. So we all know that the demand side of the food equation is changing fast with growing population, increased middle class, urbanization. A lot of the productivity gains that led to the huge improvement in terms of productivity during the 20th centuries may be reaching their limit out very soon. At the same time, we observe an increased demand for quality with better quality food, an increased demand for transparency. Consumers are more and more asking for transparency regarding the composition of the product, the production method, or the origin of the food they consume. They are also increasingly health conscious and also place greater importance on environmental sustainability. At the same time, globalization is also creating complex dynamics. We observe higher dependency to global market with strong competition between the different actors, and this leads to increased inequalities and imbalance in terms of bargaining power. And finally, regarding environment, so the modern industrial scale agriculture is becoming more and more dependent on many external input variables such as fertilizer, but also topsoil, water, relatively cheap input of fossil fuels. So this leads to land degradation, ecosystem degradation, biodiversity loss, and a lot of negative externality to the environment. So now the second section describes the key faced by our current food system, so whether it is in terms of equity, food security, or environment. So food system will have to feed a growing population on a substrate of natural resources that are already under stress. So here we identified four main challenges that we believe are central to our food system today. So the first one, which is equity. So economies of scale have turned agriculture into an industrial enterprise that works best for large farms, centralized suppliers, and large distributors. The second one, which is more about sustainability, the fact that the input-output logic to farming results in a depletion of the overall ecosystem's ability to maintain and to regenerate itself. Food systems are also producing a lot of waste. Food goes to waste at different levels of the supply chain, whether it is at the farm level or during the different stage of the supply chain, or whether it is also at in a restaurant or at home. And finally, the last challenges we identify is more about food security. So even if we made a lot of progress regarding our capacity to produce food, there is still like around 800 million people in the world without access to enough food, many who are living in failing state or conflict zone. And the globalization of food system is also resulting in most of humanity being dependent of longest and more complicating food supply chain, which creates also vulnerability for people. So this leads us to the third section, which is more about transition. So in this section, we propose a set of changes we believe need to come about in our food system. So we think that the issue with our industrial age food system are not superficial, but systemic. So first, it is really the way the system is organized and its basic principle that create the issues we experience today. And thus it is in turn the very structure and guiding principle of the system itself that need to be changed. So we think we need a true paradigm shift. So here we proposed, in this section, we propose a set of systemic changes we believe that need to come about. So I just picked three among those that are presenting in the paper. So the first one, which is moving from a centralized system to a decentralized system. So the idea is that we need to move away from systems that are structured and around large-scale centralized production to with just selling food to passive disconnected consumers, and we need to shift the locus of the system from centralized mass production to end user and start looking at more decentralized micro production using platforms aggregation or for exchange of products. One other idea is that we also need to shift from a more integrated circular design. So from such an approach, value is creating by not producing more, but instead maybe organizing better. So the idea is that we need to build stronger local and circular food system to address several challenges. And it will also help us to keep valuable natural resources and nutrients in the loop and help tackle issues like food waste or waste of water. And finally, the last illustration I wanted to share with you is the need to shift from a system which is based on the production of a mass of products to a system which is organized around the needs and outcome for the end user. So the idea is here is that food systems have become based on the production of mass products, when in fact what we really need is to access nutritional outcomes. So there is other systemic change that are presenting in the paper that maybe we will discuss in the different breakout rooms. So now let's move to the last section, which is the ideatic one. So this section tries to offer some ideas or at least solution to answer the question, which is what does a future fit food system look like? So it gives some insights on the vision of what an approach to designing and managing food system inspired and guided by system thinking might look like. So I put some of the main ideas that emerge from our work, but I think that this will be enriched by our discussion and further explore and discuss during the discussion part of the workshop. So the first idea is that solution to the limitation of our current food system will require an integrative system approach that is able to bring together the different stakeholders and to enable collaboration across the value chain, building it on a coordinated and resilient system. Another idea is that IT-enabled food platform can create end-to-end network that bring in all stakeholders from across all the value chain to create a functioning and well-coordinated microeconomy. And finally, we think that collaboration is a critical element as it refers to the importance of connecting actors and building partnership to develop a shared vision that is flexible and owned by all the people involved in the ecosystem. So I think I've talked enough. So let's move to the discussion part. Asra, you can take the control of the screen again, and happy to discuss in the breakout room.
Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, so this is how the workshop board is going to look like. We're going to be broken. We're going to move to different smaller breakout rooms. And then we're going to discuss a few sections within the paper that Jill has described to us a few minutes ago. So after we spend about 60 minutes within the breakout room, we'll come back here and then we'll discuss the main ideas from each of the breakout room that we really like. And then we'll also spend some time discussing which is the most nice one, or which is the one that we would like to take forward to the paper. But before that, I will give you a small sort of an explanation of this works. We'll spend about, let me just zoom in more. So this is, all of you would be broken down into smaller rooms. And then whatever room you're assigned to, you should actually zoom into the one in the Miro board. And then we will spend like first few minutes on trying to get more a little understanding of then the introduction of the food systems. And then we'll go about the following it in a clockwise direction. And then for all of you within the breakout rooms, you're supposed to elect a representative who would take back the main ideas from your room to the final discussion room after the session within the breakout room system. So Joss, whenever you're ready.
Maybe Adrian, could you stay here, and if someone joins, then you could put them into one of the breakout rooms. I'll make you co-host, so it should give you the option. Great. I'm going to go off now.
Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. So I think we'll just wait another few minutes before everybody joins in. But now that we have a few of us here, maybe you could help us understand what you did in your breakout rooms, just a little brief before everybody joins. Maybe sort of a conversation in between. Adrian, I saw you moving around the breakout rooms. Would you like to say, would you really like the way everybody was discussing?
Sorry, give me a second. I'm gonna mute.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go. Say again. Sorry, I missed that. Say again.
So I was just saying that I saw you moving from different breakout rooms. Do you want to explain what you saw? So just before everybody joins back.
Yeah, I had a chance to kind of jump in and out of the 4 breakout rooms, and I was extremely delighted to hear the level and depth of conversation and insight that was being shared across the board. I also like the fact that when I jumped to 2 rooms in particular, very separate rooms that had some very similar ideas. So it seems that we're kind of on the same track with some issues that are really affecting the system, and what might be some potential solutions to see it in a more resilient and regenerative way. So I'm really looking forward to hearing all the feedback from all the groups as we share.
Let's just. Oh, okay. So perfect. I'm not sure if everybody is here in the main room. But guys, whoever is here, maybe you could go back to the main one here and then put what you discussed. as main ideas, or something that you would like to bring to the main room and just have everybody maybe take away from your insight? Perhaps you could add a little. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe because we're short on time, we just asked the representative what they came up with. We were in room 4. Rebecca and Co, would you like to share what our insights?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, we discussed quite a lot of things, but we all think that the most 3 influential ones are, for example, the system not only has human stakeholders, but also non-human stakeholders. So, for example, nature, we have to be aligned with the nature more, because right now we're not that much. So we need to take care of the other participants like animals as well, because they contribute to the food system as well. So, for example, fertile soil, it's because of the animals as well. Then, yeah, keeping the nutrients intact, that's also really important. So the food is actually healthy. We mentioned something about fortified foods and how you might think they're really good, but sometimes the bioavailability is not the same. And also we mentioned the economical motivations of larger players. They have a really hefty role in the food system. So it's really important to align with those actors as well, because yeah, they control the system. If you guys have anything else to add on top of this, more than welcome.
Okay, that was quite insightful, and I think including more biomimicry within the innovation that we make and is really important. And then to be able to grab what's in the nature and then not leaving it aside is also part of the systemic change that we're trying to bring. So that was really great job. So quickly moving to maybe group 3, that's where I was, and I was talking to Sahir. Maybe she could help us understand what we discussed. Could you grab the mic?
Thank you very much, Asra, and Mariana, who I think is no longer here. We had a very rich discussion. Unfortunately, a lot of me was throwing questions back at Asra herself, so apologies on that. A bit of background, I'm in a food systems research group, so I do look at a lot of this with a lot more critical eye than I think otherwise. We did have some very good points on like looking at all of this in a holistic and systematic way, and including being as inclusive as possible with other stakeholders and maybe unrepresented groups that don't get the same kind of voice, being very careful with descriptions, definitions, and contexts, because quite a lot of like, especially innovations and policies in the space only really work for a very particular geographic and economic area, and being careful about the narratives and mindsets, which I did not write down from Mariana's points, but that quite a lot of change essentially depends on the mindsets and the narratives that are in this space and the kinds of thinking that people have. And being very reflective of like what disruptions and innovations do, what their systemic impact is, and what it is that they're trying to solve. So if like a disruption is essentially vulnerable to the same kinds of risks and things, it's not going to have that much of a change. And being very careful to know that quite a lot of the current food systems problems are because of very good ideas and innovations from 20 or 30 years ago. So making sure we don't keep repeating the same cycles that we are trapped in. And then thinking of resilience in like a broad way and being very careful of what it is that we mean, and looking at the drivers and motivations of all stakeholders in the system. So like seeing like who it is who can make a change, what it is that will drive them to make a change, and then how again that looks across the system, across multiple actors, and that producers and consumers are not the only people in the system we should be looking at, but looking at like concentrations of power and conglomerations and actors that we tend to miss out, especially when looking at food, because like procurement companies and logistics tend to have way more power than we usually think about. And then being very, very careful about all the existing research and practices that have already been done and learning from those mistakes, and then seeing how those insights can apply in different places. So I'll stop there, but thank you, Asra.
Oh, thank you. Actually, I had a great afternoon with you. So maybe we could jump on to group 1.
Well, maybe we'll just say about the voting also, as we're short on time. So if you see an idea that you like, maybe grab one of these dots just to bring it down onto that idea so we can try and surface some of the best ideas or most interesting, insightful things come out of this. We might have those takeaways we can share back with you afterwards. So little dots here, important one around mindsets and narratives. One I'd vote for. There's another one in our room where we were talking about maintaining the integrity of the nutrients through the kind of system as it goes from growing to the end user. Okay, we stay on.
So I think group one's me. I'll jump in. There's absolutely no way I'm going to do the breadth and depth of our discussions justice, but I'll focus on two sort of key points we discussed. The first one is around the association of a, I guess, broader section of society with the food system. I think this is born out of a point kind of already raised, which we discussed in the kind of context of why the food system is sort of broken at in many levels, and that's kind of concentration of power that we see in the disassociation of people with the food system and the realities of the food system, like the physical limits of our environment and carrying capacity of our environment to produce the food. We also talked about kind of seasonality and climatic limits to food production, how we're kind of ignorant of those at the moment, and all the benefits that can come from having a broader society kind of engaged in understanding and also producing food. Because at the moment, certainly where I come from, in a high income industrialized part of the global north, it's very kind of concentrated, and certainly in my eyes, and I think the group size, that's where a lot of the sort of big externalities stem from. We also discussed, I suppose, thinking about a leverage point, the kind of goals and objectives of the food system. Certainly, again, in the UK, food isn't seen as a kind of mechanism to deliver sort of broader planetary and personal benefits. So as the paper framed about nutritional outcomes, it's just largely, and where I think a lot of the externalities come from, a product to be sold. And there's definitely a role perhaps for governments and others to be able to change and influence sort of goals of the system, which can then influence, I suppose, the psychology and mindsets of those that interact with the food system and produce the food that we eat, with a broader understanding. It's not just about eating it, given all the other kind of system interactions. I'll pause there.
Is there anyone from group 2 who wants to share what we discussed? We didn't have time to.
Sure. I think we had a good conversation about interconnectedness and the systemic issues, not just the food system, but how it also relates to a wider political system or an economic system, and sort of aligning what is right and what is wrong, or what is good food and what is good for the environment, and that there's a huge benefit in having those things aligned. I'm sure I've missed some points, but that's what I recall.
Okay, it's a perfect summary when we're running out of time to keep it super short. Well done. Great. So Asra, maybe we wrap up. Tell us what's coming next.
So I'll just give it over to Jill, who would help us with the feedback and everything that's planned out for the last end bit there.
Okay, so well, I think we are a bit out of time, so we just would like to have your opinion about the topic we discussed and the kind of event you would like to see in the coming months in terms of topics, but in terms of format. I know that there were a lot of people in my group that were already aware about food system thinking, and that was mainly interested in more specific topics. So please feel free to add some stickies if you want. Otherwise, you can also join our hub if you are still not part of the hub. So there is the link to the System Innovation Network, the Food Hub, it's a nice place to share resources, ideas, and to follow the different events. You can also follow us on LinkedIn. And regarding the type of engagement or how you can be involved in the hub, so basically there is 3 different groups of people in the hub. So there is the members, so they usually join for some event, they start discussion, they share resources, they ask questions on the platform. We are also looking for some partners, so people with whom we can host some event, people who can also play as a speaker in some webinar. We are also happy to hear from proposition for project or challenge order. And finally, we are now currently 3 people on the team, so Asra, Adrian, and I. So if any of you want to join the team and to be more engaged in the development of the hub, also please feel free to get in contact with us. So now it's time to go. So feel free to put some stickies to give some feedback about how did you find the session today. So was it blend and cold or tasty and hot? And was the format of the session effective? So if you have any proposition, also we will be more than happy to have your opinion. And also if you have any ideas for how we may improve things. So thank you everyone for joining. We will let the board open so you can give your feedback in the coming minutes.
Yeah, we hope to share back with you. Someone was asking about outcomes there. We hope to share back to you. We'll have obviously the recording of this. We'll share on our YouTube channel. And also try and do some synthesis around what were the topics of conversation and what were the main kind of insights from this, and share back in our group channel on LinkedIn also. So hopefully you'll follow us there, and look forward to seeing everyone at a future event. I think this was great, great conversation actually. Yeah. Well done, Jill, Azra, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you, everyone, for
Bye.
this. All the best. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.